All right, now listen. This video was going to be created anyway, but I created a snippet of the video, about 60 seconds, because when you're creating content, sometimes small content is what leads to larger content, especially when you're using platforms like TikTok. So it's only a certain amount of time that you have to say what it is that you need to say. Anyway, I talked about the stimulus or the advance that people may get if they are one of the ones who receive the child tax credit advance. I do understand it's advance. I do understand that it may come from their child tax credit that they would have gotten on their tax refund. But what you got to understand is most of the time people blow their tax refund. So people need a game plan or a strategy of what to do with their additional cash flow. Otherwise, it's gone with the wind. You know it just like I know it. Well, anyway, and let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Mr. Smith, 0.5 of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And my wife and I have been teaching financial literacy for the past 7 years. We teach people how to increase their cash flow, get out of debt, build their credit, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, I created a small snippet of a video, and people had something to say. Oh, that's bad math. This is bad advice. He don't know what he's talking about. Niggas always want to say something just because, you know, they got a camera. All kind of stuff you'll hear people say. Okay, I hear you. But the math wasn't off, and I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to show it to you. And this is what we got to do as a people. This is what we got to understand. If you don't have a better solution, or you're not offering your advice, or you're not offering guidance, or if you're not empowering people in some way, shape, form, fashion, fall back. Fall back. Because a lot of times what happens is people have everything to say, but they're not doing anything, or they don't have a better suggestion. So I understand it if it comes from somebody who has a solution, or they have a feet to the pavement and they're trying to empower people. We've been giving away free knowledge for years. We've helped people get out of debt completely. We help people become first-time investors. We've helped people take their credit score, you know, from low to high. You know, we've been doing it, and this is not a time to, you know, share things that we've helped people do. However, what I do want to address is that a lot of times people have something to say, but not a lot of activity to go behind it. So be careful when you look at some of the content that may deter you of making a move, or make you automatically choose or lean on their perspective, because a lot of times they have no clue what they're talking about. In the example, and I'm going to show the exact examples here, I gave an example of a person who might have received $500. That $500 a month, because it's supposed to come monthly. Now, I know it probably ain't going to come for a certain amount of years, but it's the mindset that I want people to adopt, more so than the being so literal about every aspect. But $500 is a real number, because I saw that certain people per child, they would get like $200, $250, $300 per child, and that'll be paid out monthly. And yes, it would be in advance. But if a person adopts the mentality to act as though they never received the money, they can build a small fortune just off of that advance. So I want you to use that to your advantage, not just fall victim to what everybody else is saying. So the example that I gave was a $500 monthly deposit that they may receive. So if you're receiving it monthly and you invest that monthly, I gave you the numbers. Now, I know people may not do that monthly. They may want to divvy it up, but I just wanted to give something of some value to give people something to think about if in the event they invested $500, whether it came from the child tax credit, whether it came from the W-4 adjustment, or whether it came from a side business, or whether it came from you working overtime at your job. The fact of the matter is the numbers don't change. So with that being said, let's get into it. So $500, I gave an example of 10% rate of return over 10 years. Some people got it. Some people say, oh, that's actually not even that high of a return, meaning that they knew I was lowballing it. In fact, I was being modest, not overdoing it, not exaggerating it. And then they proved that they had like a 90% rate of return, which is, you know, all I was saying anyway. Then I showed I had 30+% return, and I've had, you know, 100% rate of return, things of that nature. But I gave $500 monthly invested. Don't get that twisted. So some people, I guess they thought it was a one-time investment, but monthly investment yielding 10% rate of return over the course of 5 years gets you this, or over the course of 10 years gets you this number, and I'm going to show it to you. Then I did $500, invested 10% rate of return, invested over 20 years gets you this number. Then I said, all right, let's have some fun with it, and let's take $500 and invest it into crypto or something, you know, that can yield a higher rate of return possibly, and what it can do over the course of 5 years. Now, I will say this, crypto is definitely volatile, but that's what allows it to get the rates of return that it gets. And I'm going to prove what I'm saying, because I got two sites that I just want to show a quick example so you'll know I'm really lowballing numbers The potential is there, but you do have to believe in it, and you do have to understand that it's a risk involved. And if you understand the risk is involved, but it also is a potential reward involved, then, you know, we see eye to eye. So this is for the person who gets it, not for the person who want to bash with no other solution. Now, let's talk about it. So let's plug in the numbers. So I have my financial calculators pulled up here because I didn't do it off the top of my dome. So for somebody to say that the math was wrong, this is artificial intelligence, and this is accurate, you know, pretty much 100% of the time. Well, this is accurate 100% of the time. So periodic monthly investment, not one-time lump sum, not lump sum investment to reach a specific goal, periodic monthly investment. So this is under the impression a person receives $500 extra from that cash flow increase or that advance, whatever they got, and let's just assume they're getting 10% rates of return. And let's just assume this is over the course of 10 years. Over the course of 10 years, when they invest their $500, what do we have? Over $100,000. So this is just the math. This is just the math. I ain't fabricating anything. None of that. Now, you do have to do your due diligence to put your money in a place that you believe has that kind of potential. So I ain't saying that. And I ain't telling the person what to invest in, but if you know it exists, at least you know that it's possible, and it's possible for you. So that's what I did the first example. So over 100,000, same numbers, screenshot it, do what you got to do. Then I said, okay, what if a person did that for 20 years? Because many of us work 20 years of our lives, and we don't have the type of money that this is about to create. But with this mentality, we can. So after 20 years invested at a 10%, same rate of return. I didn't change anything other than the amount of years that they did this. Now I know the advance may not last for 10 years, 1 year, 5 years, 20 years. But if a person adopts that mentality and they create the habit of investing $500 for 5 months, I don't care if it's 5 months, they may say, you know what? I might not have that 500 still coming in, but I do want to continue to invest. So it's planting that seed that can lead to this over $250,000, over 300,000, almost 380,000. So this was an example that I gave verbatim. Screenshot it, fact check me, whatever you got to do. Now, in addition to that, I said, okay, and stick around because I want you to see that these numbers are possible, and I'm lowballing the 10% rate of return. And I even lowballed the cryptocurrency when I said, hey, let's have a little fun with it, and let's just say you're investing in something like crypto, because stocks don't typically yield this type of rate of return consistently over a 5-year time frame. There are definitely some unicorns, some things that, you know, do, but typically it doesn't, and a lot of times, you know, it's just a rare scenario. However, with crypto, it's not foreign for a person to get 100% rate of return in a couple of days, in a week. Now, it's volatile right now, but, you know, if you're into crypto, then you know that people have gotten these rates of return in a short amount of time, and crypto has created a large space of wealth and millionaires, etc. But you do got to watch out, because there is some scheming scams and entities out there that's pushing these different coins, and they don't have any goal other than to extract your money. So you do got to do your homework there. That I will say. Now, say the same $500 was invested at 100% rate of return. Basically, you doubling your money over the course of 5 years, and you're investing $500 a month. I got to reiterate that, $500 a month, yielding 100% rate of return over the course of 5 years. Hit calculate, and boom, listen. Over $700,000 if a person invested in the crypto and it yielded their rate of return. Now, it might not do for 100, but it might. It might do more than that. It might do less than that. Now, let me let you know where I'm getting these numbers from, or these type of numbers from. So one of the places that I recommend people invest in, and this is mainly because most people don't have time to just study the stocks, look at the stocks all day, really do the research and do the analysis to determine what is the best stock to invest in. However, there are vehicles that you can invest your money in that allows you to invest in some well-researched companies based on a sector of your choice. So this website is ETFDB. ETF is an exchange-traded fund. It's kind of like a mutual fund, but it's a bulk of stocks that you can invest in. You put all of your money in there, and it automatically diversifies your money. And you can do it on a sector-specific basis, meaning that if you want to invest in technology, there's an ETF for that. If you want to invest in artificial intelligence, robotics, there's an ETF for that. If you want to invest in electric vehicles, there's an ETF for that. If you want to invest in solar, there's an ETF for that. If you want to invest in cannabis, there's an ETF for that. So it may give you 15 or exposure to 15 different companies. That exposure to 15 different companies allows you to have your money in all of those. And the beauty of it is if one of those companies are not performing, they'll move it out and put another performing company in. Now, you have to spread out. Of course, you're spreading out some of the return that you could get because there may be some company that's carrying a bucket of the weight, meaning they're outperforming most other companies to the point where if you would have had your money in that one company, your money would have grew even more. However, the chances of you picking that one right company is rare. But the ETF allows you to at least benefit from that growth. That way, if one is kind of performing but not so good, the way that this other one that was performing better help benefit the one that might not have been performing that well. But if it's an industry that you believe in, it has a future, such as robotics, such as artificial intelligence, such as solar, such as technology in the electric vehicle space, then by all means consider it, and cannabis. So that being said, this is the technology sector. Just so you know, I'm not pulling this out of thin air. If you look at these, and these are some symbols, so you can look these up. QQQ. People have talked about that. They know about that. VGT. And you can just look at all of these symbols. So I won't go through all of these symbols. But what I really want you to point out, or what I want you to look at, is the 1 year, the 3 year, and the 5 year in these ETFs. And we're just looking at the top about 8. In the 1 year, this thing has created a 40% rate of return. The example I gave was 10%. But that's bad math. This is me not knowing what I'm talking about. This is fact. This has already happened. So that means that if that has already happened, 10% is lowballing, and it's very well possible. 40% rate of return, 3 year, over 100% rate of return. And these are stocks or ETF, this ain't even crypto. The example I gave for crypto was 100%. This has happened with this type of ETF. And over the last 5 years, over 200% rate of return. So, dude, before people start talking or before you start believing what people are saying, do your own homework. And if you're one of the ones who was talking and bashing, I need you to go back in the comments and say, you know what, he did break it down and make it plain. Because I ain't here to try to, cause no static. I'm here to enlighten. And there may be some things that some people didn't know, just like I didn't know. I'm not saying I know it all. So if you're an expert or you're a genius in these fields, then by all means, disregard. But for those who are not, they need to just sometimes see a little bit. And if you deter them or someone else deters them, then they never get on track to investing or at least starting the process because somebody else said it was fictional, when in all actuality, the numbers don't lie. So these are just some examples. And look, we haven't even get down. Some of this over 500% over the last 5 years. Look at that, and some are even higher. But I just want to prove that point. Now, let's get into crypto. Let's get into the crypto space. I'm over here, and this is the coin market cap. This is one of the places where you can get information pertaining to crypto. And I just want you to look at some of these numbers. I said 100% rate of return on an annual basis if a person invested 500. Now, these numbers are very, very volatile. In a 24-hour time span, this particular coin increased by 500%. We're talking 24 hours. 24 hours. So if you research a coin and it's something that you believe in, 100% rate of return over the course of 5 years might not be far-fetched. Now, I would recommend that if you do experience some type of big gain, that you have a strategy that can allow you to keep some of your profit just in case that crypto tanks. And it's a strategy that you can look into. I learned it from a good brother, Chris Cole, known as the fat lady strategy. I won't get into that here, but it's basically when your money doubles up or triples up to a certain point, you take profits on half, and then, when it drops again, you reinvest, and you're always able to keep some of your profit, so that way you don't risk it all when you made a big gain. So a strategy is to keep more of your money, but the video was short, so I didn't want to get into all the details of that. But as we can see, 100% rate of return ain't foreign. We're talking about 24 hours, 100% rate of return. All of these right here within the 24-hour time frame. Now, is that guaranteed? No, absolutely not. Can you lose money? Absolutely. Do you need to do your due diligence? Absolutely. But the fact of the matter of me laying out the numbers being fabrication is false, because I'm proving it. The numbers don't lie. This is the data that has been tracked and recorded, and this is very well doable. So do your homework on some of these stock symbols, some of these crypto symbols. Go to these sites, do your due diligence and digging. And anybody who has something to say that was of the negative, just do your homework first. I'm not bothered, because I understand that my intent is to empower or at least give a person a new perspective. So I'll release this video, and I'm going to put it in under the comments for those who might have said something. And if that's how you found this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and any information that you feel you may benefit from, feel free to check it out. We got tons of videos that we've been releasing for some time now. And if you feel like somebody else can benefit from this information, be sure to share it with somebody else who you feel may benefit. So hopefully this has done you some well. Hopefully this gave you some value and some perspective. Because somebody said, you know, yeah, you said the numbers, but you didn't show how. By law, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to tell you, you know, what to invest in. However, it's some sectors that you may be able to benefit from, such as the crypto space, such as the sectors that I listed when I talked about solar, electric vehicles, cannabis, as well as things like 5G, robotics, and artificial intelligence. So if you understand that those sectors have a future, then it may be a good chance that you can put your money in there today and multiply your money in the future. That's all I got. Mr. Smith signing out. I salute you all. It's all love, even though I, you know, have to break this all down. It's all love. Salute.